Your e-bike is the pinnacle of bicycle technology. It's the best thing out there. If you set it up and ride it in the wrong way, it's going to feel like one of those old school pedal mountain bikes. Do you remember those back in the day? But there's a few common mistakes that you can make on an e-bike out on the trails. We're going to be looking at a few of those in today's video. So let's talk power modes on your bike. There's normally about 3 or 4 different power settings, all the way from eco all the way up to turbo. So let's talk about eco. Eco is your friend if you're just going to be plodding around the trails or transit stages in between sections of your favorite trails. If you start a steep climb in eco, you're not really going to be harnessing that power of the e-bike. You can switch it up probably on trail, especially on a more extreme hill climb, and even turbo if you need it. But then we go back to trail mode. Trail mode obviously speaks for itself. It's for using out on the trail, getting the most out of that battery. It's a good mix of battery and power. That's a general sort of middle of the road. It's a good setting for everything. Turbo is kind of like your get out of jail free card. I only use it in certain extreme circumstances. Sometimes when you're faced with a slippy uphill climb, some people think putting it in turbo is going to get you to the top of that hill quicker. But you need to take into account grip levels, pedal strikes, how steep the hill is, battery management, all different things. So turbo is not necessarily the best way of riding your e-bike. So I'm attacking this hill in eco. It's obviously the lowest power setting. I'm in my easiest gear and already it's becoming quite hard. Trying to harness some grip, got a good climbing technique, but it really is really hard work. I feel not really using the e-bike to its full potential. Really hard, out of breath, and I need to ask myself kind of why am I on an e-bike if I'm not harnessing the power? So ideally I'd either attack that hill in trail or whack it in turbo and cruise up there, saving my energy for the next downhill segment. Big mistake I see out on the trails regularly is people with the wrong body position. They're riding that bike with the seat jacked up right under their bum, hitting them around all over the trail. What you really need to do is just stay relaxed, move around on that bike. Just make sure when you're heading down that hill, get that saddle dropped and out of the way. The only time your bum should be on that saddle is when you're climbing up the hill or flowing along the flat on some single track or road sections. Off-road, downhill, get that saddle out of the way. Also, don't forget you've got big suspension on that e-bike, big tyres, so make the most of it. You know, let that bike flow, let it sing down the trail. You're gonna be flying. Let's talk tyres on e-bikes. From the get-go, tubeless is a really good idea. These bikes weigh, you know, between 20 to 25 kilos, so there's a hell of a lot of beating going through your wheels. So if you haven't got tubeless, get tubeless on your bike. It's gonna save you a lot of pain and hassle on the trail. Also make sure those tyres, especially on the plus size tyres, have got some good sidewalls. Otherwise you'll be experiencing a load of pinch flats, gashes coming through the side of the tyres. Makes a lot of sense to get a set of those. Also tyre pressures. Depends what you're doing really. If I'm going to somewhere with massive jumps or doing tricks on my bike, I run tyres as hard as 40, 50 PSI. I know Sam Pilgrim even runs 60 to 70 in his. But if you're riding the trails on a general trail ride, wheels on the ground, you can run as low as 15 PSI, something like that. 12, 15 tends to be the absolute minimum really. And again, you've got to tailor it to what you're riding. If you're finding a tyre pressure that works for you, take a note of it. Just get a PSI reading off that tyre, write it in your phone, just remember it. If it works on the trails, it's going to work everywhere for you. Let's talk about braking on an e-bike. These things obviously are heavy, they carry a hell of a lot more speed than a regular bike, so they take some stopping too. Big misconception is grabbing a handful of that back brake. Anything on an e-bike that's going to cause is a hell of a skid. What you really need to learn to do is modulate that front brake combined with the rear brake together. That way you're going to pull your e-bike to a stop the quickest way possible. Let's have a look at this now. I'm just going to try stopping with the rear brake, and then I'm going to show you stopping with the front and rear brake together. So as you can see, that took a hell of a lot of distance to slow down, maybe 10 bike lengths or so. So what I'm going to do is mark the end of that skid with this handy log, and then we're going to go back at the top and harness using the front and rear brake properly and see how much quicker it is. So as you can see, just using that front brake combined with the rear brake, I'm almost stopped in quarter of the distance. Really important just to get used to using that front brake as well as that rear brake out on the trails. It stops you almost, as you can see, 4 times as quick just using that rear brake only. So let's talk about climbing on your e-bikes. I could literally make a whole video purely about how to climb on your e-bike. We're keeping it brief in this video. Basically, all you need to be doing is selecting that right power mode, making sure your body is in the right position. I tend to favor the seat right, sit right on the tip of the saddle, almost biting my handlebars, getting right over the front of that bike. If you're too far back, you're gonna find, your upper body position is quite stiff. As soon as you put that weight into the cranks, that front wheel is going to lift, it's going to loop you out on the climb as well. Another thing to talk about is seat height. Some people prefer to have the seat slammed. It gives them a lower center of gravity, a bit more grip on the back wheel. Personally, I like to keep my saddle high. It helps me, my big gangly legs, keep the spin of the cranks going. Just get it to a height that you feel is comfortable. Don't get it too high, too low. Just something that feels right for you when you're climbing yourself. When you're out on the trails on your e-bikes, it's all too easy to find yourself cruising along at 20 miles an hour in a really hard high gear on the back end of the bike. Your legs are barely turning, but it's not a good habit to get into. You really need to break that habit and make the motor work along with your legs. These motors like cadence, they like spinning, so don't get lazy. Use your legs as well as that motor and you'll be surprised what you can climb up out on the trail. So I'm in turbo mode. I've made the wrong gear selection. I'm pushing as hard as I can, but the motor simply doesn't know that it needs to spin up and assist me. I'm in the wrong gear and I've not made it barely quarter of the way up the climb. I'm gonna hit it now in the right mode, right gear, spinning that motor up. Look how easy this is. So spinning that motor up, got nice RPM, it's assisting me really good. Good climb technique, got my weight forward, spinning. Easy as that. So let's talk suspension on your e-bike. If it's set up too soft, that bike's gonna be sat in its travel. It's gonna drop the bottom bracket low. It's gonna slacken the head angle off as well. If the forks are too soft, you're gonna be steep head angle. The whole bottom bracket's gonna be on the floor. The cranks are gonna be hitting stuff, loads of pedal strikes. So just make sure that is set up correctly. If you don't, it's totally gonna ruin the quality of that ride that those guys have spent years developing. Let's talk about lockout. There's no need to be using lockout on your e-bike, apart from maybe on road sections or transit sections between parts of your trails. Don't even think about hitting jumps or getting those wheels off the ground with lockout on, because it will damage your suspension. If there's one thing we can take from the video today, it's how confident and capable these e-bikes really are. And your ability and confidence comes with time out on the trail. So don't forget to get that important riding time in on your e-bike, because when things go wrong, you're going to know how to correct it. So I really hope you've enjoyed today's video on hitting the trails on the e-bikes. If you've enjoyed today's vid, be sure to check out on how to silence your e-bike up here. Also, don't forget to check out me and Steve Gill hitting Cornwall. We hit some epic locations in our epic Cornwall video here. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, give it a like, drop some comments in the box below, and don't forget to subscribe to eMBN.